the Church Innovation Summit, we're hoping will become an annual event where we'll find out. But, this one's focused directly on artificial intelligence. And something I don't know, there's so many neat things that have come out. If you haven't already experienced ChatGPT, I highly recommend getting in there. It's free and just playing around with it. But I think that there's so many new technologies now that can make your job at the church, especially as a church communicator, so much easier. There's logo creators that are AI based. There's headshot generators. And so how many times have you needed a good headshot of your pastor and couldn't get one, right? And now you can pay $17 and upload a bunch of random photos of him with his grandkids and just cut out his head. And then you can end up with some professional headshots of him. So
welcome to season 3, episode 34 of the Missional Marketing Podcast. My name is Bart Blair. It's my privilege to welcome you to another episode of our show. If you're new to the podcast, we want to let you know that our purpose in producing this podcast is to help your church grow by leveraging digital marketing and effective communications. My podcasting partner, my co-host, is Jason Hamrock. He is the CEO of Missional Marketing. I'm one of the digital coaches doing digital outreach strategies with churches. And Jason and I are really passionate about helping churches really reach more people using digital tools, Google, Facebook, Instagram, email, you name it. We want to help you reach more people for Jesus. And we have a really capable team that we work alongside every single day to help churches really be the best at what they are doing in reaching people in their community using digital technology. If you haven't ever actually connected with us at Missional Marketing, we'd love for you to do that. You can visit our website and go to our contact page, schedule an appointment to meet with Jason or me or one of our very capable coaches. And if you haven't ever checked out our blog, we've got some incredible content. Our team is putting out some great blog content on a regular weekly basis. You can subscribe to that and also get some of those great articles delivered right to your inbox. So love that you're with us. Appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed wherever you listen to your podcasts, make sure that you do that. If you haven't ever left us a review, give us one. Go and give us a 5-star review over in Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you listen. That'll help more people find the show. And if you're watching on our YouTube channel, make sure that you both subscribe, but also ring the bell so that you don't miss any future episodes. Every episode that we post onto our YouTube channel, we actually pin a question to the top of the thread. And if you are watching the podcast on YouTube, go check out that question and take a moment to answer it. We would just love to get more dialogue and more conversation going on with these podcast episodes on our YouTube channel, just so that we can get more feedback from you and find out what things you're doing that are actually moving the needle with communications and marketing in your church, or answer any questions that you might have about the content that we're creating. Check it out on the YouTube channel. Well, today's guest is one that really probably doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to give her an introduction. Katie Allred is the founder of the Church Communications Group and is also an employee of Meta. And we have a very exciting podcast to share with you today, because we have a lot of stuff going on in partnership between Missional Marketing and the Church Communications Group. Some events and some activities and some things that I think will be really important for you to know. And as well, just a general update from Katie about things at the Church Communications Group. And so you're really going to want to just lean in and listen. Make sure that you've got your calendar handy so that you can mark down some important dates and things that you need to know about stuff that's coming up around the corner. It's going to be a great conversation. I think you're really going to appreciate it. So without any further delay, here's Jason Hamrock, the CEO of Missional Marketing, and our conversation with Katie Allred.
Hey, Katie, welcome to the show. How are you?
yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, you're like, is this episode number 4 that you've been with us now? Fourth time, 5 times?
I think so. I think it's the 4th. Yeah.
You're like a regular.
We're coming up to the end of season 3. She was on the very first episode, which is still one of the most watched and listened to.
You should go watch that episode.
It was stellar. It was you two alone. I was not there, but it apparently rocked because people are still listening to it.
Oh, they're nice. Thank you.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. And our listeners know who you are, but just in case we got some new listeners, why don't you take a second and introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So I am the founder of churchcommunications.com. I started it back in 2015 as a Facebook group, and it really grew on its own and just kind of took on a life of its own. And I think as many pastors, maybe you started a church plant and you saw that church plant grow to a church of, 5,000. I feel like I have pastored many churches during that time, even though it was the same church. And so I think that people might be familiar with that feeling. Outside of that, I am an author. I work in technology. I love Jesus and the church. And I have always just been passionate about helping churches grow and to share the word as clearly as they possibly can, where they can, and as often as they can.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of where I am today.
Yeah. Katie's got a huge heart for the local church and church communications, like just how do you communicate effectively in a church? And so she's an expert and has a lot to say. It's fun to listen to her talk about it.
If I'm not mistaken, the last time Katie was on the show was right at the release of the book. In fact, you opened your box and showed copies of the book with us on that episode. How long ago would that have been?
So that was August of 2022.
Okay. So August and so 9 months ago.
Yeah, it's still a baby. It's still in its infancy.
Yeah. So how have things gone since the release of the book?
Yeah, it sold out fairly quickly and it was hard to get from it, which is great.
I bought a lot. I did.
It was all Jason, actually. No, yeah. Which is kind of funny. I was not expecting that at all. So yeah, that was neat. And then the book's not just done really well. I think like what's really great is that I've heard from a lot of churches and I've heard from a lot of people individually. What's fun now is that people are joining the group because of the book. So I've seen multiple people say, hey, I picked up this book and she mentioned the group in the book. And I was like, oh, fantastic. That's so much fun because I really created the book for the group, not, the group for the book. So I think that's really fun to see people coming to join the community after that. But at the end of the day, I'm just really passionate about the community and how I can help them grow.
Yeah. I'm excited. We're going to dive into what you did with the book. But before we do that, I guess we should talk about a new partnership.
We should probably discuss our new partnership, Jason, if you would like to do that. If that's something
you're going to put it on me. Well, okay.
I just turned very orange. Sorry, that was because of my desktop. But for the people who aren't watching this via video, I'm just like changing colors over here. I didn't even.
It actually looks like you have a fire in your office as it's causing an orange glow on your face. This is better. Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
There you go.
All right. Talk about a distraction. Little ADD moment there. All right. Partnership. Let's rewind.
We're so excited to be announcing that Missional Marketing is a partner with Katie and Church Communications. That came in effect on January 1st. And so we're co-owners and we're so excited. Missional Marketing we're thrilled. All of our team is thrilled about this partnership because just like what Katie was saying a minute ago, we love Jesus. We love him passionately and deeply, and we want more and more people to know him. And we think that's best done through local churches. Mm-hmm. And we care deeply about church communications. And so we want to help churches just get better at how they communicate so that they can share the gospel with more and more people. So what better partnership to have than with Katie Allred and Church Communications? So the opportunity came up and we said, yes. It wasn't even before she could even finish. Yes, the answer was yes. We'd love to partner with Katie and her team. And it's been a blast the last 3 or 4 months now that we've been kind of talking. And we have a relationship that goes back years. Yeah. So this wasn't like, we thought of this one day. It was a kind of a thing in the making. And we were just super excited.
Yeah. Well, I've been really excited. And I know our team has been really excited too, to have some fresh energy. And we've been enjoying discussing all the new stuff that we have coming up and coming out. And yeah, I've just really appreciated just having that same mentality of like, we want to help the local church do the best job that they can, reaching the people in their communities the best way they know how, and to help them grow.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that Church Communications and Missional Marketing are two separate entities, right? It's not becoming one organization, but we get the benefit of the synergy of two different teams who both have kind of different creative spaces and different areas of expertise. And we're actually pulling together to really benefit both both organizations, right? So I think that, missional marketing will become stronger because of our connection with Katie and the people that are on her team. And then hopefully Katie and her team feel like there's a benefit with connecting with some of our people and some of our expertise. And so it's really, I don't know that we can fully predict just how far this partnership will allow our two families to grow and to go. But above everything else, we want to honor Jesus with what we're doing. And I think, everything from just the initial conversations about how this is all going to come together, and even now what it looks like going forward, it's all about ultimately pointing people to the King of the universe.
Yep.
And,
Right.
making decisions that are going to be ultimately not beneficial for church comms, not ultimately beneficial for missional marketing, but beneficial for the hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of churches that we get to interface with on a regular basis. So very excited. I'm pumped, and I know our team is pumped. So yeah, I'll just reiterate what Jason said.
Yep. So let's dive in. I've got 3 things that I'd love to talk to you about, Katie, and just kind of get your input and pick your brain a little bit. This will help a lot of people. As Katie was mentioning, she wrote a book. We launched back in August. You got to get the book. If you haven't, just go to Amazon, look for Church Communications by Katie Allred, buy the book, buy it for your whole team. And it's not it's a workbook. Okay. So it's a book that you want to read, and there's different chapters in the thing. But Katie, talk about what you did with this book in the courses that are going to be coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, so the book itself is definitely a textbook. I wrote it with my 18-year-old students in mind when I was a professor at a college. I said, what would they know and what would they not know about church communication if somebody was just to pick this up off the shelf and they just got assigned to do social media at their church? Like, where would they begin, or they just became the communications director, the first ever communications director at the church. There's so many people who probably listen to this that was like, yep, that was me. Or that is me. That is me right now. And so I designed it and I wrote it basically as a roadmap for people who just haven't done this work before. And basically as a marketing primer. It's not like in a communications primer. It's not, I wouldn't say there's like a lot of advanced theory in there. I mean, I think maybe I threw a couple of crazy ideas in there if you want them, but I think mostly more than anything, it really is a primer on what is branding and what is social media and how can we use it best. And we need to build a website, or we're rebuilding our website. What should we do? What platform should we use? How should we build it? Should we use a designer? Should we not use a designer? What happens in, a moral crisis? What is our crisis communication plan? Like, there's some very just basic things that I go over in that. And so I think that has been really helpful for the church.
Very much so, because you can just pull it off the shelf when you enter into one of those situations, whatever that might be. And there's an answer in that book. And so you have taken the book now and you've put it into like an online curriculum, like something you can actually go through, and talk a little bit about what that's looking like and when that might release for our viewers. And
we can't give away too much, Jason, but
we gotta give away a little bit.
We'll give away some. I think that we're still working on the curriculum right now, which is really great, and recording all the videos and stuff to go along with it of me teaching, and hopefully we're going to throw in some other people teaching just to encourage everyone, and also because I think other people have better perspectives than I do necessarily on specific topics. I never. I take it back. I have branded a church. I was supposed to say, I've never branded a church. I have. I don't know. But I don't know. I may not have ever done some of these things. And I think some people have walked through them more hand in hand than I have. And so getting their perspective is always good. So we're coming up with this curriculum. It'll be, probably around 12 modules that you will walk through with hopefully some homework and some quizzes and some guides on how to get started doing church communication in your church. And I am excited about it because it's going to be very helpful for a lot of people. And I think that we plan on at least doing some beta testing this summer and hopefully launching this fall. We're fingers still crossed, don't come back at me and be like, I thought this was out. But at least that's my hope. So
yeah, we're excited about it because it is going to be a helpful guide. And I'll tell you, we talk with lots of churches. Sometimes, the listeners, we talk with you and you have a lot of questions. Sometimes you just run into things. It happens all the time. I talked to a church not too long ago and they had this crisis, right? Their lead pastor abruptly resigned. What do you do? And so we were able to speak into that, but that's the kind of stuff I think it's going to be really helpful for our listeners that are, if you're in the church communication space at all, you're a project manager, a director, a designer, whatever role, this curriculum is going to be really helpful for you. So I'm super excited about it to come out sometime here in 2023. We'll see. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
I consider myself a pretty competent teacher. And one of the things that I've learned over the years as a teacher is that not everyone can simply read a book and learn. They need some more tactile experience and also need some of the visual aspect of it. And so that's one of the things that excites me about taking the book, where I'm sure that thousands upon thousands of people have benefited from reading the book. There are some people that are just simply not going to get the most out of it simply by reading it. And so being able to put it in a format that allows people to walk through it at a pace that works for them, with some exercises and things that they can actually put into practice, and then hearing from some people who can teach and coach them through, each of the units. I think it's very cool. There's no grade. So this is not flashing back to your college professor days where you have to grade papers. You're creating a curriculum for which there are no grades, right?
Yeah, of course. Well, I can grade you if you would like me to. I do have the rubrics, so that is possible. But yeah, there's no grade. This is more for, people who are continuing their education. But I do think, it's going to be very helpful for so many people. And I am excited to see what churches learn, because I think that they're going to help me, teach other churches as well along the way. That's something I really enjoy, is this energy that comes from people learning together and discussing this. And like you said, Bart, people, you can read it. But I always like to think of when I was, this actually goes back to my camp days. Okay. So when I taught camp to, I was a 3rd through 6th grade camp counselor. And I remember them telling us, in order for people to really understand, or for children to learn really well, they need to read it, they need to hear it, and then they need to do it. Mm-hmm. And so, we've got the book, you can read it. Now you need to hear about it. So you need to listen to the curriculum and do it. And I think doing it together with people is always really helpful.
That's really well said. Yeah, that's going to be fun. All right. Well, we'll wait till that comes out. Next thing I want to talk about, though, Katie, is there's a conference coming up real soon, in June, the end of June, and it's the Church Innovation Summit. It's the Church AI Innovation Summit. Will you talk a little bit about what is that and why are we putting together a summit on AI?
Yeah, so it's churchinnovationsummit.com for anybody who's interested in registering. Totally free. We do have an all-access replay pass if you want to get the bonus stuff or you want to watch it 6 months or so afterwards. But what I love about this and the Church Innovation Summit, we're hoping will become an annual event where we'll find out. But, this one's focused directly on artificial intelligence. And something I don't know, there's so many neat things that have come out. If you haven't already experienced ChatGPT, I highly recommend getting in there. It's free and just playing around with it. But I think that there's so many new technologies now that can make your job at the church, especially as a church communicator, so much easier. There's logo creators that are AI based. There's headshot generators. And so how many times have you needed a good headshot of your pastor and couldn't get one, right? And now you can pay $17 and upload a bunch of random photos of him with his grandkids and just cut out his head. And then you can end up with some professional headshots of him. So I think there's so many good things, that are coming because of AI.
I didn't know you could do that, but I've got a few pictures of Jason Hamrock. I'm going to see what kind of headshot.
Oh, come on now.
I didn't even know I could do that. All right. That's fun. That's fine.
I'll send you the website after this. But
right, send me the link.
obviously, you can just look up Headshot Generator AI or whatever. But even Canva now has AI tools where you can just like select a part of a person's shirt and say, change this shirt to a professional shirt. And it will change the shirt or change the background. Like you can even do all that in Canva now. So there's so much coming that I want to help people understand it and navigate it, because I think it's going to make their jobs easier, but also because I don't want them to be behind.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that, like you just said, it kind of it's going to affect church communication staff, but it's also going to affect
how people write,
pastors, preachers,
how you write a sermon. Yeah.
And it is advancing fast. So we're going to do our best in this conference to we've invited a bunch of people who are as expert as you can be in this field that's just evolving daily, for them to talk about how this is going to impact you and your job, your church, and what that all means. And that's going to be a fun, I think it's going to be a really fun, free conference.
Yeah. We'll make sure to link to churchinnovationsummit.com in the show notes. So if you happen to be driving right now and you can't remember, just go to the show notes, go to our website, missionalmarketing.com, go to the podcast page, and we'll make sure that we link to that if you can't remember it. So very excited about that. We've got a couple of the Missional Marketing team members who are probably like the two smartest people that we have on our team who are going to be part of the conference, as well as some other guest speakers. That's
not Jason and Bart.
No, definitely not. Well, one of them is Jason. One of them is Jason. It's just a different Jason. You will actually, if you tune into the conference, you will hear the smartest Jason we have on our team. We actually have several Jasons, and you might rank like number 3 or 4 on the list.
I'm at the bottom. Okay.
No offense. It's just that these guys are they are technical wizards. Like Jason is very good at a lot of things, but when it comes to the technical stuff, these guys they know the ones and the zeros in ways that we can never even imagine understanding the ones and zeros. So very cool.
Sometimes I miss that. Like I used to be a ones and zero girl, and now I'm just not in that world anymore. And sometimes I'm I miss it. Let's get back to that. Where I'm just taking apart networks and
not my thing.
Not for you.
No, not
for you.
Yeah, more power to the people who can do it.
Tables and put them back together and build Cat 5 and all sorts of crazy stuff. I know.
Yeah. Yep. There you go.
I don't even
know. Lived a wild life. So
we're not going to talk about Cat 5 in the Church Innovation Summit. I guarantee you that.
But if you need to know how to make it, you can send me a DM on Facebook, and I will tell you how to do it.
Okay. Just in case you can't find the YouTube video that helps, just DM Katie.
No, just DM Katie.
I think okay. It sounds like you actually have a need to be filled somewhere with that geeky stuff. So, all right.
I think I think I miss teaching.
Got it.
All right.
Hey, we got one more thing that we need to talk about. Something that's coming in the fall. Jason?
Yeah. Well, So we're having a church communications conference. It's coming at the end of September. A lot more details to come out on that. We're really excited to be partnered together in this conference. But you did one last year. You did kind of like the inaugural kickoff, if you will, because I think we did it in the past, but COVID and all that kind of stuff. So talk a little bit about what happened last year and then what we can anticipate this coming year.
Yeah. So last year, what I really loved was that we kind of zero-based it from any conference that had ever attended. Really, I wanted to do something different. And I don't know if you ever heard out the term unconference, but I almost wanted to unconference it. And so what we did was almost made it more academic, honestly. So we only had a few speakers, a handful of speakers. We had 4 speakers. And after each talk, we broke down and at our tables and discussed and had a workbook and kind of discussed what they spoke about and how it can apply to your church in your context specifically. And to me, learning from others and networking with other church communicators is where the gold is. Mm-hmm. I think that for our community is where the gold is. The fact that we have all these opinions and all these different ways that we have done things is something that just cannot be recreated anywhere else. You can have a million experts, but you only have one group with 1,000 people who have actually done it, right? And so I think I like to consider that all these people are the experts, and how do we flip it, the script, right? Like, how do we make it not so much about the speakers and what they're presenting, but about the people around the table and who they are and how they operate and how they can learn from one another. Because even the beginner church communicator can offer something new to a person who's been doing it for 50 years, or, in reverse, right? I think that there's a lot that can be learned from someone who's been doing this for so long. And so I think that that's what I really love about our conference and about our conferences and what's coming up is the community aspect of it all, of really focusing on the people and not so much the, breakout sessions, keynotes. Yeah. That's fine. And you're going to get that. You can go, there's a million conferences. You can get that anywhere. That's fine. I'm not mad at those places.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're great. For someone. But what I really want to do is celebrate our community really well and learn together and get that energy that only comes from us being together. And so we encourage our sponsors even to be a part of the room. We don't want anybody feeling left out. We want everybody working together to think collaboratively. So Bart, did you come last year?
Yeah,
now tell me a little bit more about your experience at the table.
Yeah, I was there, and feeling's a little hurt that you don't remember that I was there, but I was there.
I thought you were there, but then my brain went.
You had a whole lot of stuff going on, though.
Okay, Bart, it's been a day for me.
Yeah, it's okay. Here's the experience, and if I were trying to help someone make a decision about whether or not they should go, these are the reasons that I think they ought to go. Number one, the conference is authentic to who the Church Comms group is. It's not like the Church Comms group is trying to put on some conference and be something we're not. You talked about the authenticity, the emphasis of the community, and 100%. You get to know people, a lot of them face to face, that you maybe have even interacted with in the church communications group, which is very cool. I actually got to be a table facilitator and sat around a table with 7, 8 other people who weren't just church communications professionals. There were people at the table who were the pastor's administrative assistant, who also happens to have the responsibility for the social media accounts and the weekly newsletter and things like that. And sitting right next to her across the table from that person was someone who's been a church communications director for a decade or more. And the conversation around the table after each presenter kind of presented their content was just really cool, because it was like a cohort or a mastermind of people sharing ideas, sharing their experiences, and really just blessing each other. We had people at the table who were coming from churches of 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 people. We had people sitting at the table in churches of 150 to 200, 250 people. So this conference isn't just for the high level church comms people. It's also not just for entry level, I don't know anything about church communications. It is really an invitation to come be a part of the community in person, just like you would if you were in the group, where anybody who has expertise and experience in something can be a blessing to somebody else. And final note, we were really well fed, Katie. I don't know who was responsible for putting together the lunches.
That was me.
That was you?
I love food. So
I would go.
Make sure that I was raised Southern Baptist, and that means I have to eat at least every 3 hours or I will die.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make sure that there's food. So we had donuts last time in the morning, and we had snacks throughout the day. And then we had hot chicken at lunch.
Hot chicken. Won't forget the hot chicken. And there was so much of it too. So you know what? If you come, it's an opportunity to hang out with people that you can build some real relationships with and enjoy meals together. If you don't get anything else out of it, it's a great time to eat. So there's my plug. Dates are September 21st and 22nd. Are we in Nashville again? What's the location? Is that the plan, or do we have a location nailed down yet?
We are working on that. It's going to be the Nashville area again.
Okay.
And we're kind of working on all those details. I'm really excited about this year's theme. And we came up with this one because it just seems like there's so much change going on around us, outside the church, right? And even inside the church, and just the way we do church. And so our theme this year's the next era, and how we can really look towards the future. And some of this there's a reason why we're doing the AI conference coming up, because that's going to be part of what's happening with how we do church communications in this drastically changing era, coming out of kind of COVID, and right. And a lot of churches are growing, which is so, thank you, Jesus, because we're on calls with a lot of churches, and they're record attendance at Easter, which happened not too long ago. And more people are coming back. So how do you deal with all that? How do you deal with all the things that, Katie talked about, anything from social media to staff changes to just things that happen inside the church in your department, and how do you handle that? We want to really kind of tackle that and speak into it and collaborate. This can be fun.
Yeah, so it's going to be in late September. We're still nailing down the exact specific date, so it's going to be that week. So don't worry, Bart.
Kind of around there.
It's going to be that week, but just check churchcommunications.com. We're going to be posting more relevant information. Obviously, join the group if you haven't. We'll be posting relevant information in there. And I am really looking forward to it. We're still nailing down the venue, but it's going to be incredible. And I'm really excited to just spend some time with our people again, but in Nashville, Tennessee again, because that's my homeland. I'm forcing everyone to come here because I think it's the best place in America.
Great place to go. So.
It's a good place. There's great music. There's good food. So, and then you could just take some time and enjoy it with your team if you want. So, that's what I think, at least.
I agree. Nashville at the end of September. It's going to be nice.
It's nice. All right. We need to wrap this podcast episode up. I'll give each of you an opportunity to kind of give a parting shot. We'll start with you, Jason. We'll let Katie have the last word. Jason, anything that you want to just kind of share? As a lot of churches, as they listen to this, are moving towards the summer months. Any encouragement, any special words, anything that you want to? Gift for our guests.
Yeah, it seems like there has been this, and it's probably in your church too. There's been a little bit of a wave of more and more people attending, and I want to encourage you to not lose sight of those people that come to your church and give you some information. Especially if you're generating emails, communicate with them. Don't just assume that they're going to come back. And so that's my parting shot: is that throughout this summer into the fall, you really want to be focused on how do you continue to cultivate new people that are showing up to your church, and don't just kind of hope they show back up again. You have to be somewhat intentional to connect with them, and that will pay off big time if you actually take the time to connect with them. And sometimes that's your job as a comm director through emails. Sometimes that's ministry's job to pick up the phone, the phone and actually call. That's a foreign concept to some churches. You mean you call people? Yeah, you do. You want to connect with people. That's one of the best things you can do. So that's my parting shot, and keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
Katie, over to you. Parting shots.
Okay, so I think, and I've said this a million times, life change happens in the context of relationship. And like Jason said, you've got to build those relationships. I think, like Jason said, I've seen a lot of new people come to our church too. And so just seeing it grow is always a really wonderful thing. And people are coming to hear the gospel and also to find community. I think that's the funny part, right? Is that people come to our online community to find community because they are lonely in their job. But then people come to church to find community locally because they're, growing and learning and doing new things in their community. And so, yeah, I think figuring out how to make more of those connections and actually keep up with them is, our next big foray. And I know that obviously there's CRMs and CHMS systems and there's different ways, but you're right. I don't think there's anything, better sometimes than just the old fashioned connection of picking up the phone, or obviously texting, or there, my church emailed me with a whole bunch of questions because they were like, what do you do exactly? And so I remember getting that email and being excited to meet with them and those kind of things. So that was a lot of fun. So I recommend, actually just reaching out to people and looking them up, adding them on Facebook, adding them on Instagram. I think that's also a new and fun way to actually follow up with people.
Yeah. Agreed.
Cool. Hey, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. It's been a privilege to hang out with both of you. I respect both of you a ton in what you do in the company that you lead, the organizations that you lead. And for all of our listeners, thanks again for tuning in. If you're not subscribed where you're listening to the podcast, make sure that you subscribe. Give us a review. We prefer a 5-star review. We'll take a 4-star, but we really prefer 5 stars. That will feed the algorithm of the podcast world. And make sure that if you're watching on YouTube, that you don't just subscribe, but you ring the bell so that you get notified about future episodes. Thanks again, Katie, Jason. I'm Bart, and we're out.